I'm Peter Ramsden. I'm the Managing Director of a micro enterprise called FRES Limited, which focuses on local development and social innovation. I'm from London, and I'm also a Fellow of the Young Foundation. I think the question of whether crisis breeds innovation it's a bit of a sort of double-edged sword. One of the things we lack in the area of social policy in general, and particularly in public expenditure, is we lack Schumpeter's creative destruction. We don't have the force that can make your smartphone destroy every phone that came before it, because it can do everything that could do and new things. Or the mobile phone destroy the landline. We don't have the ability that one innovation takes out the old policy. So we have legacy policies, far too many of them, which are occupying the space, using up money, and most of which don't work that well in terms of user satisfaction. One of the problems we've had with social innovation is that we have a lot of good ideas and a lot of good pilots, but not enough of them make it through into the mainstream. And the role of an organisation like the European Commission is that it can help that process, particularly, I mean, it can obviously fund small pilots. Pilots are actually easy. It's implementation and scaling up, which is hard. And the European Commission can really add value at that stage of scaling up and large-scale implementation in a way that probably no one else can. No one else can help ideas hop across national boundaries from one place to the other. No one else can really do that. And Europe actually has the resources, despite the crisis, despite public sector retrenchment. Europe has the resources to make social innovation happen in every one of the 27 member states. Europe is different from the United States because as a spending authority, it only has about 1.5% of GDP, whereas the federal government in the United States has several times that spending power. And so in terms of transfers, in terms of how the economy is organized, the American federal administration is much, much more powerful. But I think Europe's more creative. I think Europe is more socially innovative. And I'll just cite one example. Europe already has, under its Progress Fund, two things which are really interesting. It's backing microfinance across the European Union using the EU Progress Microfinance Facility. That's something which is really a breakthrough. And under the same Progress Fund, which the microfinance money came from, it's also got a social experimentation program operating, where 20 innovative social experimentations are out there. 10 of them are 2 years old and about to conclude with real results, and 10 are just halfway through. This is a serious approach to the science of how we can measure whether something is better than what it tries to replace. And I'm really impressed by Europe's investment in these types of activities. In terms of the time pressure and 2020, basically we need to start the process of creating metrics now. But that has to be a participative process. We need to particularly involve people who use services. You can't just decide what's important to measure without understanding what's important for them. And that would be my big point about that. My view is that you need a mixture of really quality quantitative metrics aligned with good qualitative understanding of how processes operate and what the transformative effects are on people's lives. The thing that I think the quantitative often misses is that transformative element, is how someone has changed as a result of being in a really good situation or encounter or project. And sometimes when we just count the outputs, you know, the numbers on courses or the numbers going into jobs, we lose all of that. And the difference between someone who loves their work, is passionate about their work, and is now steering their life, versus someone who has become something to which training is done and who goes into a job but bounces out 6 weeks later. That's every difference in the world. In terms of the finance picture in 5 years, big question is going to be what's going to be the financial outlook for Europe as a whole. Where are public finances going to be? Are we still going to be having to retrench? Hopefully that won't be the case, but I would worry as well. My hope would be that in terms of social innovation finance, we have solid systems covering the four main areas, the four main stages of ideas, prototypes and pilots, implementation and scaling up. Something around all of those in every member state, but that's a big ask.